Okay, students, let's go ahead with a new topic called sentence structures. Okay, so look at the examples what I've given on the screen. Look at the given group of words. Which are sentences? Why? Birds fly, flying birds. He is sleeping. The Taj Mahal is beautiful. The beautiful Taj Mahal. The ferocious cat frightened the tiny little mouse. The frightened little mouse. All these are sentences which have meaning. So what exactly I'm going to tell you basing on these examples? Go ahead. Sentence, phrase, clause. So we should know the difference between a sentence, what is a clause, and what is a phrase. Now when I look at the examples, the initial examples, birds fly, the Taj Mahal is beautiful, he is sleeping, the ferocious cat frightened the tiny little mouse. A group of words with complete sense. You can understand the meaning of that particular sentence. The next set, flying birds, the beautiful Taj Mahal, the frightened little mouse. A group of words which also have a complete sense. Do you agree with me? Yes. Then what's the difference between set 1 and set 2? Both the examples. Just give a glance. Moving ahead. The difference is set 1, group of words. Words in certain order. Subject, verb, object. Give a glance. Subject, verb, object. The first set. The second set of group is nothing but it goes together as a unit, but they do not have any subject and verb order. Give a glance. Flying birds, the frightened little mouse. So there's an agreement, subject, verb, object in the first set. There is no such, but they form into a group which has some sense. That's the difference. Let's move ahead. Now, what is a sentence? A group of words in certain order. So, a group of words which have an order, subject, verb, object. Such group of words are termed as sentence. The ferocious cat frightened the tiny little mouse. The Taj Mahal is beautiful. So you find an order, subject, verb, object. So such group of words are called as sentences. Next, what's a phrase then? Words working together as a unit, but they do not have any order like subject and verb. You can use them as part of sentence. Such words are called as phrases. So which will not have an order like a sentence like subject, verb, object. The beautiful Taj Mahal, the frightened little mouse. So group of words work together. They are called phrase. They do not have an order called subject, verb, object. Next, what's the difference between sentence and clause then? Let's take another example which is given here. Ramya is my neighbor who works in Chennai. I can divide the sentence into two parts. Ramya is my neighbor has a sense. Who works in Chennai? So these are two parts of the sentence. Now when I take the first part, it has subject and verb. Each part can be called as a clause. Now when I take the first part, it has subject and verb. When I take second part also, it has subject and verb. Unlike phrases, a clause can sometimes act as a sentence also. Now when I take this example, the first part has sense. The second part, without the first part, it is not having any sense. I can just say Ramya is my neighbor. It has sense. But the second part, even though it is having subject and verb, but alone it cannot be carried. Okay, moving ahead. A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. A sentence is also a group of words with a subject and a verb. Okay, a sentence can either have a single clause or more than one. Clear? Now, we should know about clause because it is much equivalent to a sentence. Now, clauses are of again two categories. One is independent clause, the other one is dependent clause. Now, the word itself signifies things. Let's move on. Independent clause. A clause can sometimes act as a sentence. Now, when I go back to the previous example, Ramya is my neighbor. That alone sentence, the part of the sentence can be taken into consideration. So, when you take certain part of clause which conveys the meaning, it is called independent clause. It has both subject and verb. It can alone can be carried. Okay. Now, when I go ahead, dependent clause, the vice versa. Now, when I take the second half, who works in Chennai. Now, alone it cannot be conveyed because such clause, they cannot be used on their own. Okay, they are also called as subordinate clauses. They need to be used with an independent clause to complete the meaning. Okay, so who works in Chennai is an dependent clause. My Ramya is my neighbor is an independent clause. The independent clause could be used by itself as a complete sentence. So sometimes clause also acts as a sentence. Now, we'll slowly move to sentence because in sentence we have again 3 different types. We already know that a sentence has, a structure called subject, verb, object. It can also be a combination of any number of clauses. Depending on the kind and the number of clauses, depending on that, it has been categorized into 3. Simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. Quickly we'll move. Simple sentence. Now we take the same old examples. Birds fly. Taj Mahal is beautiful. Now it's just an independent clause which has subject and verb. So such simple independent clause are called as simple sentences. Moving ahead. Compound sentence. Now I go with an example. I bought a shirt at the airport and I wore it yesterday. Another example, the shoplifter had stolen clothes, so he ran once he saw the police. They spoke to me in Spanish, but he responded in English. So when I take these 3 examples, they are independent clause. If I take, those conjunctions into consideration, and, so, but. Apart from that, there are 2 independent clauses which are joined together with the help of conjunctions. Okay, so these are compound sentences. So 2 independent clauses, when they are being joined with the help of conjunctions, okay, they are called as compound sentences. Okay, so once again, 2 or more independent clauses with the help of conjunctions are called as compound sentences. Coming to the last part, complex sentences. Now we'll go with the example here again. After eating lunch at Sitara, Tom went to gym to exercise. So after finishing his food, he went to exercise. Where? Which place? Gym. The independent clauses, you can see, Tom went to the gym to exercise. Now, after eating lunch at the Sitara, it has any sense? No. So we term such clause as dependent. So without the second part, the first part has no importance or meaning will not be conveyed. So an independent clause joined by 1 or more dependent clause. Such sentences are called as complex sentences. What are compound? 2 independent clauses joined with the help of conjunctions are called as compound sentences, and 1 or more than 1 dependent clauses, when they are joined with an independent clause, they are called as complex sentences. Okay, they always has a subordinator. Now, for example, they go with examples like, the words like because, since, after, although, when. You can see the above example, after eating lunch. Okay, so we came to know the difference between sentence, phrase, clause, 2 types of clauses, and a small, categorization of sentences like what is a simple sentence, what is a compound sentence, and what is a complex sentence. Okay, so next class, we'll go ahead with the exercises. And I wish all of you all to go through once again all the types of, sentences and do some examples so that you'll understand in a better way. Thank you.